Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kara here with another Infinite Magicraid video. And in today's video, I want to talk about Holder and why I think he is a mistake and not worth investing into. When it comes to this game, I do want to say that first, I feel like this potentially could be a controversial statement. In my opinion, I think it's pretty clear that he's just not that great of a character. I do want to preface that people that have invested into him, I was one that invested into him. Like, this is not something to say that you're dumb for doing this. It's more of like just as you progress into the game and get more knowledge on what to expect later on, you start to understand that he doesn't bring that much value to the team. And if I were to go back, I could have saved a regression potion and just use those resources better for other characters. But let me explain. So the first thing is, I think the game itself in Infinite Magicraid fails the players in the way that they don't give a very clear beginner character that is going to be good through the campaign. I feel like say what you want about Raid Shadow Legends, but they have actually a really good choice of rare characters to choose from that make perfect sense on how to progress through the game. You pick this character, like let's say Kale, for example, good AoE, poisons, so you can do good on bosses, you can do good on the waves, and then you can use that character to be able to farm more characters and then eventually replace that character down the road. It just makes perfect sense on what you would want out of a starter character. Whereas in this game, they give really good free characters. Like, for example, they give space. This character is an amazing support. You get this after just 7 days of playing the game. Easily an S tier character, one of my favorite characters in the game. You get that for free. Also, you can get, after 14 days, you get this amazing nuker in Margarita. Super good character that you can get just for free, and she gets even better if you exclusive her, which is also something you can get for free, so I think a lot of people do that. Both those characters, though, are not really that great for progression. They don't move the needle in going through the game. These are characters that you're going to want to take one of those characters, and then they are awesome at supporting that character. That's where I think the game is super generous in the characters they give you, but they don't give you a good roadmap on how to progress through the game. Enter Holder here, who I think is just kind of a fix to an issue here with this game, where he kind of fits that role you would think. He has AoE, he can attack at a turn, he has self-sustain, so people are like, okay, let's just pick Holder. He's an epic character, so he's relatively easy to get. You do have to get lucky, he's not guaranteed, but still, it's a popular character people point to, invest in that guy. Also, another thing I do want to say is with the changes to Dragoncliff, it used to be, Dragoncliff was like the best way to get food. Apparently this is a controversial thing. I don't know, there's been videos going back and forth on this, but I really think this is the best way to get food. Yes, experience is a massive issue in this game as well, but you still need to get the food here to be able to level up other heroes. And so I felt like in the old Dragoncliff, it made more sense to have Holder because he was actually pretty good at it. He would AoE and he would counterattack. So when the spiders hit, he would attack them all individually and wipe them out so the boss doesn't scale, because he would wipe out the spiders. So we would actually kill the spiders, not the boss. So it made perfect sense in my opinion. So you'd eventually revert him, but with the plan that he's actually good here. Whereas now they made this so much easier than what it was that you don't need special characters for this. Another issue about this advice about not doing Holder is you kind of need to be able to figure out which character you're going to invest in instead. There's no like, oh, don't invest in Holder, pick this character instead. It's more nuanced than that. It's going to depend on the characters you choose. But I feel like when it comes to Holder, he is nowhere to be seen in any like mid-game to late-game content. Not a single thing. You will never see him in top arena. You will never see him in the guild boss doing damage. You'll never see him be able to clear a 3-star on the campaign here. He's just absolutely nowhere used in any medium to late game content in Infinite Magicraid. And I feel like because of that, he's just not that good of a character to invest into. And with this game, it's really not the end of the world for investing in this character, because you could just end up reverting him eventually when you get better characters. But I feel like these are something that are incredibly rare. You can only buy these once a month. You get a couple of them free in the game. I think 2 of them free, and then you have to buy all the other ones. So this is not something that it's up to you if you want to be able to invest in this character and you know you were going to use a regression potion on him. Sure, maybe that's an actual effective strategy, but I really think investing in other characters, namely support characters, and getting them fully A5'd sooner than it would have been if you invested into him would actually be a net positive on your account. Those resources are going to go a long way, and they don't have a expiration date because you're not going to be planning on regressing them later on. And they're going to actually scale into some of the hardest parts of the game, and you don't have to worry about them running out of usefulness. So that's why I think Holder is just not that great. Another thing too, if you actually just look at the character, he doesn't do any damage. Like looking at these modifiers, you have 200% on the auto attack, which is actually pretty good, but then he does 160% damage nuke on his AoE, which is just an absolute joke in my opinion when it comes to an AoE character. And then you have to actually exclusive him if you're going to want to be able to do more damage, for example, or more survivability. So increases the leash rate by 30% when Holder attacks enemies under bleed status. But that's another issue too, because he's a early game character and you have to rely on him applying bleed, but you want to be able to scale him in damage. So you're not going to be doing effect hits. So he's not going to be applying bleed too much. And then also another thing too is you want to be able to do well on the bosses. So investing in a character that doesn't do any damage on bosses is a terrible option in my opinion as well. The reason why people hit a wall with him is just because of his lack of damage. And he just doesn't fit into any team at a certain point. So eventually it gets to the point where the thing that's going to matter is going to be able to kill bosses, and killing the waves in between is not going to be that big of a deal. It's going to be more about surviving those waves and then getting to the point where you can get to the boss and kill the boss. But he's going to be bad at both because he's not going to do enough damage to the waves. He's not going to help with survivability, and he's not going to be able to kill the boss. So that is why I feel like people always regress Holder. Try to choose someone else. Maybe more survivability, maybe like a Whim, maybe a Liz, maybe a different damage dealer. Hopefully you guys all get lucky enough to be able to pull an HP burner. Hopefully they end up buffing poisons and bleed to be able to actually be on the same level of HP burn, in my opinion. I think that's a big problem. That is my reason why I think Holder eventually just falls off a cliff. Like as you go on to be able to progress through dungeons and stuff in Dwarven Ruins, most of the people's teams are all like one damage dealer and then a whole bunch of supports. He doesn't even do that much damage as an AoE, for example, let alone a boss damage dealer. That's another reason why I just don't think he's worth investing into. And I would rather not progresses soon early and invest in characters like Reeves, for example. Like this character, good at bosses, maybe not as good as you slowly progress through campaign, but you'll eventually hit a wall with Holder, whereas I don't think you would hit that same wall with Reeves, for example. So like there's a lot of good characters out there, and then it would be very situational based on each account, but there is a lot of good characters that you can kind of pick towards that are free. Namely Space. Can't go wrong with Space, in my opinion, investing in her. Liz, Maya, even Eden are all really good choices to invest into, and you don't have to worry about them running out of usefulness as time goes on. That's my take here on Holder. I think he's just an overrated epic character that I don't think is very good. Unfortunately, I don't have another free-to-play character or guaranteed character that would immediately take a spot. I think it's more about your account particularly and the legendaries that you have, and then being able to make those choices through game knowledge. It's tough, but you know, if you have questions, I can definitely try to help you guys. But I think that would be the better way to go about progressing and not getting to the point where you feel stuck. Because I see a lot of people post on Reddit. I see a lot of people post in Discords that they eventually feel stuck, and pretty much everyone always reverts their Holder. That's pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Curious to hear what you guys think about this. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.